Hey everyone, how are you? How are you sleeping? What are you doing before bed to make sure that you are getting a good night's rest? Let me know in that conversation box down below. Tonight is week 8, if I can do 8 fingers. Week 8 of the Everyday Ritual series. This is the first week here in the co-op. So hello, welcome to all the people who are new in the co-op. Hello to all of the people who have been here for a while. I appreciate you all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Kay. This is my weekly Monday night show that I do, talking about how to build rituals into your everyday life, which is a super important topic. So in that, oh, thank you, Heather, I am cozy. In that first episode of this show, we really talked about how we can take habits, intentional habits, and stack them to create rituals in our morning and in our evening or in the middle of the day or whenever it feels good for you. So tonight I really want to talk to you about not evening rituals, but pre-bedtime rituals. So those rituals, those habits that we're stacking right before bedtime. I'm going to walk you through a series of them. You can pick and choose. I always say grocery shop. Grocery shop what works for you. Grocery shop what registers, what resonates, all of those things, right? Take it or leave it. That's up to you. But so I'm going to walk you through a number of the things that I do, a number of the really powerful things that I teach my clients to do, and some of the more common sort of things that I see metaphysically come up in people's lives. Hello, T. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Miss Heather. Hello, Terry. How are you all? So do like everyone else is doing. Say hey to me in that conversation box down below so I can say hello back to you. And before I go any further, let me introduce myself because there's a good chance some of you don't know who I am. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Kay. I'm a coach, a medium, an intuitive, and a healer here in Cleveland, Ohio, on the beautiful shores of Lake Erie. I'm a Great Lakes girl. Do you like the Great Lakes? I grew up in Michigan, so the Great Lakes feel like home to me. Like energetically, there's just this thing about them. So that's a little bit about me. I help people. I'm passionate about helping people really build ritual into their everyday life and also really working with ancient sacred rhythms of the moon, of the earth. That's probably one of the ways that I'm most well known on social media is working with moon energy and helping people leverage that in their everyday modern life, right? Leverage the moon energy for their life, for their business, all of the things. So that's a little bit about me. I have a paid group that I run where I do moon rituals. I collaborate with people like Heather Nieves. We're doing a new moon and movement ritual this week. And I hang out in here a lot because I love this group. I love all of you. Don't you love this group? It's an amazing group. Jerry says hello. Hello, Jerry. Claire is talking to Melissa. Hello, Kimberly. It's nice to meet you too. Hello, Nars. All right. Let's jump into this. So I asked at the beginning of this live, how do you sleep? Are you sleeping well? Are you needing a little help getting good sleep? Like, do you wake up? Like, tell me the things. Let me know in that conversation box. Let's troubleshoot some of it. But I'm going to talk to you tonight about some of the things that I do before I go to bed and some of the things that I help my clients learn to do before they go to bed to really help. If you can hear my cat in the background, I apologize. Periwinkle apparently is coughing. He waited till I was live. We'll just take it for what it is. All right, so the first thing. Claire said to me in a comment today, and this is something I hear a lot from clients, right? That it's hard to turn off her brain at bedtime. She has a hard time turning the brain off at bedtime. Let me know. Does that resonate with you? Do you relate to that? So one thing that you can do before you go to bedtime, before you go to bedtime, is brain dump. Do you brain dump before bed? Now there's a caveat to this because if you are not someone who has like the racing thoughts and it's hard to fall asleep, don't brain dump because it's going to like bring those thoughts back up and you've already put them to bed for the night. But if you are someone who's having like those racing thoughts, grabbing yourself a nice little journal, right? Something just small that you can have by the bedside and a pen just to kind of write down the things, right? To make yourself a note. And it's important, this is important. It's important that you talk to yourself when you're doing this, that you understand why you're doing it. So you're brain dumping before bed and you're telling yourself, I don't have to think about all these things. Thank you, brain. I don't have to think about them because I'm going to put them on paper. And they'll be here for me to remember tomorrow. So you don't have to continue to remind me, right? It's okay. We've got them on paper. We're good to go. So you can brain dump. Maybe if you're someone who has a lot of these thoughts, you might try brain dumping like 30 minutes before bed or even an hour before bed. And then before bed, anything that's still going, you can add to the list. But that way, like, you kind of spread it out over time. Yes, Melissa. Claire says, brain dump, talk to yourself. Why are you doing this? Yes, exactly. Why are you writing it all down? You're writing it down so that your brain doesn't have to continue to remind you. Okay, so a lot of times I also have clients come to me and they say one of two things. They say, what crystals can I sleep with? Are you a crystal person? Let me know that. What crystals can I sleep with to help me with X, Y, and Z? Or they come to me and they're like, I'm sleeping with all these crystals and I'm having a hard time sleeping. And I'm like, okay, what crystals specifically do you have by your bed? What crystals specifically do you have by, on, underneath your bed? So yes, there is a benefit to sleeping with soothing crystals, maybe like some howlite, some rose quartz, something to soothe yourself, right? Energetically, crystals have energy, stones have energy. When we put them by us, right? Like, we naturally kind of pull in and it helps our energy. You could have a smoky quartz or a black tourmaline by your bed. That really helps to kind of ground some energy, potentially even like offering like some protection from nightmares, etc. What should we avoid? Active crystals. Crystals that are like gonna like wind your intuition up, which we're gonna talk about here in a second, how to like kind of take this down a notch if we want to, or how to be specific about what we're receiving while we're sleeping. But anything that's kind of like a loud energy. So for instance, labradorite. I would not put labradorite by my bed unless I was using it in an intentional way, like as in like dream work or astral projection or something when I'm sleeping. Otherwise, it has a very high sort of vibe frequency. Amethyst. Some people can put amethyst by their bed and it helps soothe them. Some people, because amethyst also vibrates up here like very quickly, right? Like a high vibration. Some people, amethyst keeps them up. So I'm not saying you can't have crystals in your bedroom. I am saying play around with it. Ask yourself, what crystals do I have? Is there something I want to add for a purpose? Or is there something that maybe I could take away and see if it helps how I'm resting at night? Tip number 3 is a pretty easy one, and it's hydrate. Hydrate yourself. Hydrate yourself throughout the day, but also hydrate yourself before bed. Part of the reason is if you are doing any sort of dream work or astral projection, etc., it's going to help move energy. Part of it is also because you're going to be less likely to wake yourself up dehydrated. Like when your body becomes so dehydrated that you're thirsty, you're going to wake up in your sleep, right? So hydrating yourself before bed. The caveat here is that if you have incontinence issues, then you may want to monitor how much you're hydrating yourself. So are you someone who receives messages? Are you someone who receives messages in your sleep? What I mean by this is that science has told us that dreams are our brain sort of processing the day's happenings. And that might be possible. But we also can be receiving messages from our guides, from source, from oneness, all the things while we sleep. And part of the reason that this is such a great time for us to receive messages is because like our conscious mind kind of like checks out, right? And so we don't have all of the like stuff that we're doing during the day, like we're sleeping, and so they can get a message through more clearly to us, like we're not distracted by all of the day's happenings. What this means though is that if you're someone who does do this, like you recognize it, and one of the ways you can start to recognize it is to keep a dream journal. Keeping a dream journal, you start to see the messages that are popping up, you start to see the themes, etc. But if you're someone who does this, some nights we literally just need to rest. Sleep is super important for us. It's when our bodies regenerate, cells regenerate. It is when healing takes place in the body. Like we need sleep. That's part of like a healthy human, right? Is to have restful sleep. So you can do a couple of things. You can close your third eye. So your third eye is right here. For anyone who doesn't know, this is kind of like the home to your intuition, right? So you can take both your hands, place them like this. Think of this like a window. So it's closed. You're going to open it, make sure nothing's sticky, just like your window, and you're going to close it. All you have to do is think about what you're doing. I'm closing my third eye. Now you might, if you are someone who communicates to guides or angels or ancestors or your relatives, you might say something like, you can interrupt me if it's urgent, right? If it's like a life or death sort of manner. Otherwise, this is closed for the night and you can send me a message in the morning. You don't have to worry about opening it in the morning. Like you're naturally going to, if you're someone who's receiving, it's naturally going to open back up for you, but you're kind of closing it down. You can also create a filter. If you're someone who gets nightmares or has bad dreams or just is really active during the night, you can take a hand. I like to use my right hand, place it above your crown chakra. Also, information comes in this way, right? Place it right here and think and visualize whatever kind of filter you want. Maybe it's cheesecloth, so maybe just like thin energy is going to come through, right? You can tell yourself that's positive energy. And I'm always talking to my guides when I do this. I'm creating an energetic filter and I'm picturing what kind of filter or screen or sieve, etc. that I want to use. I sometimes like to use colanders. So all the liquid, all the good stuff, all that white source light can come through the colander holes. But all the heavy stuff is a little bigger and it gets stuck up in the colander. And so I'm not processing everything at nighttime. So we can close our third eye, we can create a filter. You can also set boundaries. So most of you who know me know that I'm a medium. If you don't, hi, my name's Angela. I talk to dead people. I'm a medium. I have been most of my life. So one thing that's super important for me, and it might be important for you or for your kids, if you have kids who are gifted, like many of you do, right? One thing that's important is to set boundaries. Literally say out loud. And I always, when we're talking to spirits, like actual spirits, right? Like we talk out loud because otherwise they don't necessarily know that we're speaking to them. So we talk out loud and we say what our boundaries are. Now, if you're married and your partner is going to be like, what are you doing? Feel free to do it in the bathroom by yourself. But I always set a boundary, right? Like no one can interrupt me while I'm sleeping unless it's a life or death matter. So spirits know, right? And sometimes I kick them out of the bedroom. So here's also a little tip for you. If you are someone that has spirit activity in your house, you get to set boundaries. Just like it's a person or anything else that you get to, for me, my bathroom is a no-go. I have a spirit portal, right, in my bathroom. So they come through, but they immediately find out that they're not allowed in my bathroom. That's my space. So they can be somewhere else in my apartment, not in my bathroom. And at night, as long as they're not bothering me, chatty, touching me, entering my morphogenic field where I can really sense them, where it's like, I feel someone there, right? As long as they're not doing that, they can be in the bedroom. But if they're not respecting that, if I've got somebody who's extra chatty, etc., they get kicked out. So you get to draw those boundaries for yourself. You get to draw them with your guides. You get to draw them with source. You get to draw them with angels. You get to draw them with spirits. You get to draw with all of the things. And I highly recommend it because, again, nighttime is this time where messengers, guides, source energy, etc. can come through very clearly. But sometimes we're receiving so much of it, right? Especially if we're in like another layer of awakening, that it feels like a lot and we don't always feel completely rested because, well, our body might have been resting. Part of us wasn't resting. Part of us was out gallivanting around or having conversations or whatever was happening. In addition, there are some things that you can ask for. If you're someone who does astral project and you know what that is, if you are, and if you don't, we can have a conversation about it if you're curious. But if you're someone who astral projects, you can say before you go to bed, I might travel tonight, but I'm going to be back long before it's time for me to wake up so that I feel rested in the morning. I might travel tonight, but I'm going to be back long before it's time for me to wake up so that I feel rested. Super important. You can also say, I'm only traveling to places that feel safe, right? You can say all sorts, so you can set the boundaries. By saying it out loud, you're literally setting the intention for your subconscious, for your soul, etc., as to what your boundaries are. You can also ask for guidance. So maybe you've been mulling over something, or you've been trying to figure something out, or something's going on, or you want a sign, from your grandma or your grandpa or whoever it is. Before you go to bed, simply say, I would love a sign in my dreams tonight. Or I would love to see fill in the blank in my dreams tonight. You get to ask. And the more often that you are asking and having this conversation, the more that source energy, spirit, oneness, our guides, ancestors, angels, all that is, will begin to hear you. They will begin to understand that you're communicating. They'll begin to understand what you're asking for, how to give it to you, how you best resonate with it, all of those things. So you can set your intentions. You can choose who you are communicating with, who you're not communicating with. And you can also, and this is the last thing that I do before bed, lights out. I'm in bed, I'm laying down. I myself am a Reiki practitioner, so I run my Reiki, and then I do a little meditation. Maybe you want to listen to a meditation. Maybe you can walk yourself, right? Since I was a child, my mom has been teaching me biofeedback, and so I can do like a body scan, and inevitably that usually sends me to sleep, right? Like if I start focusing on my body. Another secret that you might try that works really well for me if I feel like my brain's not quite ready for sleep yet is I focus on a task and I do it in my head. So something that you know how to do. So for myself, it's always cooking. I never make it more than a few ingredients added into it just gives my brain something to focus on, right? To kind of come down to rest repose. So something that's not stressful, something that you do every day. Maybe if you have some sort of experience filing something, or you can just walk through and tell yourself I'm filling out the title and filling out, right? And as you're doing this very natural thing, your body starts to come down. So brain dump before you go to bed to get rid of some of those racing thoughts. Tell yourself why you're brain dumping. Check to see what stones you have. What stones do you have by your bed? Is there something you want to add because you do want to astral project or something like that? Is there something you want to add for soothingness and to help you sleep? Maybe that howlite or that rose quartz? Or is there something there that's already there near your bed that maybe you want to take away and see if you rest more deeply? Hydrate yourself. Close your third eye or make a filter, right? Tell them what you are receiving, what you're not receiving. State your intentions. If you are someone who has spirit activity in their room or energies that you can sense, set a boundary with them. If you're someone who travels, remind yourself, say out loud that you're coming back ASAP. You'll be rested. You'll be back in time for morning. If you are someone who is looking for a sign, you can state that intention also. And then when you're ready, you turn out the lights. You can run your Reiki. You can imagine, if you don't have Reiki, you can still imagine this kind of bubble around yourself, right? Of light. Maybe it's a soft rose colored, very warm, loving light, right? So wrap yourself in that bubble and then begin your meditation or your body scan, or maybe you're in your head baking chocolate chip cookies, whatever that is, and you'll be off to sleep. So these are a few of the things that I do on a regular basis before I go to sleep at night. These are some of the things that most of my clients find most helpful, helping themselves when they are getting ready to go to bed so that we can get a good night's sleep. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, let me know in that conversation box down below. And before I pop off of here, I want to make sure to remind everyone there is a new moon. The new moon is Friday. Let's start with that. The new moon is Friday. It is the second of a trifecta, so a set of 3 super new moons. So it's super powerful, super potent. Heather Nieves and I are collaborating, co-hosting a new moon and movement ritual. There'll be a new moon ritual. There will be yoga and intuitive movement. There will also be a sisterhood circle. It's 90 minutes. It's $44 unless you are a member of one of our paid communities. And then there is a code where you can get $11 off of that. So if you would like to join us for that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put a link here in this live. And with that, I'm gonna let you all go. Remember to try some of these things out tonight. Get a good night's sleep. Let me know how it works for you. Hugs and kisses, everyone. Stay well, Moonchild.